Mr. Green, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the witnesses for appearing as well, and I'd like to lay a proper predicate for my questions. According to the latest HMDA data, in 2019, the vast majority of home purchase loans went to white borrowers at approximately 10 times that of loans that went to Black and AAPI borrowers. Here are the numbers. The share that went to white borrowers, 60.3%. To Hispanic borrowers, 9.2%. To AAPI borrowers, 5.7%. And to Black borrowers, 7%. 60.3% to white borrowers, 7% to Black borrowers. Even when lending discrimination does not result in outright denials of credit, it drives up borrowing costs for minority home buyers. Loans to Black and Hispanic borrowers continue to be higher priced for both conventional and non-conventional loans in 2019. Home purchase loans were higher priced for the following share of borrowers. To Black borrowers, 20.3%. Hispanic borrowers, 23%. White borrowers, 8.3%. Consistently, we see empirical evidence indicating that there is invidious discrimination in lending, especially as it relates to people of color. So here are my questions, dear friends. Adjusting for education, credit score, assets, and other relevant factors, do you believe that invidious discrimination in lending exists against borrowers of color? I have been collecting these pictures. I keep them in my office. These are pictures of people who deny the existence of invidious discrimination as it relates to people of color. So my question to you is, do you believe that this invidious discrimination exists in lending as it relates to people of color? If you do believe so, would you kindly extend a hand into the air? All right. Would you kind of hold it up just like to get a good picture of you, Mr. Secretary? All right. Thank you very much. Now, next question. Do you believe that this invidious discrimination against borrowers of color can be addressed with legislation? Can we craft legislation to help end this invidious discrimination? If you think so, would you kindly raise a hand? Legislation. Can we craft legislation? Chair Powell seems to think so. Mr. Mnuchin?
Can I respond to the answer?
Well, you can respond, but if you would be so kind as to let me know where you're going first. Sometimes when people finish, I don't know what they've said.
I think
this wouldn't apply to you, of course. So,
I think we have legislation, so I think we need to do a better job. So I'll say we can look at legislation, but I think it's more than just legislation.
Okay, I agree with you that it's more than legislation, but would you agree that legislation can be a part of the remedy? If you'll kindly extend a hand. Thank you. Now, I'm in agreement with you. We have a couple of pieces of legislation. H.R. 149, the Housing Fairness Act, helps to deal with discrimination in housing as it relates to people of color and others as well. And then H.R. 166, the Fair Lending for All Act, that would put an end to this race-based lending and discrimination. Two pieces of legislation, hopefully they'll move in Congress. But here's my final question. I believe that it's time for us to reconcile in this country. We've survived slavery, but we didn't reconcile. We survived the invidious discrimination that exists now, segregation, but we haven't reconciled. If we had a Department of Reconciliation with a Secretary of Reconciliation, would you work with a Secretary of Reconciliation, your departments, the agencies that you represent? Would you work with such a person to help us reconcile in this country? If so, raise your hand. All right.
Not knowing what that is, I guess,
They both
sure,
do.
if there's a department, then, you know,
Well, I can tell you, it would be a department designed to eliminate invidious discrimination and racism. That's what it would be all about at the cabinet level, hopefully. Thank you both. Thank you, Madam Chair. You're back.